Hi folks, and welcome back to another Travels of Red Rover. Before we get this video, I wanted to let you know that this is the first part of a two-part series introducing our van, and this part is focused on the interior of the van. We hope you enjoy it.
Hi folks, and welcome back to another Travels of Red Rover. I'm Shawn.
And I'm Corinne.
And where are we today?
Today we are at Yankee Meadows, which is near a town called Parowan in Utah.
And it's an absolutely gorgeous location, a beautiful day. And we're here to do something special.
Today we're going to show you our new van that we are traveling about in. We had to change out our other one, and Shawn's going to tell you all about that.
So our new van is a 2024 Sprinter. It's an all-wheel drive, and it's been outfitted by a company called Off-Highway Vans in Salt Lake City. So you may be wondering why we would change vans. After all, we did have a beautiful Red Rover van that really had been working wonderfully for us for the last 5 years. Like all things, that needed to be changed a little bit, and when Corinne and I started to investigate making some modifications that we wanted to make, it turned out it was going to probably require us to take the van, gut it, and start all over again. And since we were going to end up doing that, we thought we would probably be better off, and I think we have been better off, to just have a new van built. Now, you might say, well, what were some of the things that we wanted to do to Red Rover that we really were having some challenges doing? Well, one of the major things we wanted to add was air conditioning. Even though we tend to be fall, winter, and spring adventurers in the van, we've been finding that the fall and spring shoulder seasons for some of the places that we want to go required air conditioning, or really would help us out when it's getting hot. So we wanted to add air conditioning, and that was going to be a fairly significant modification. The other thing we wanted to do with Red Rover is that Red Rover was set up so that we slept from side to side with our heads on the driver's side and our feet on the passenger side. And we did not have cutouts for the van. The original design of the van did not call for cutouts because we wanted the van to be as discreet as possible. And consequently, the length that we had to sleep was around about 5'8". And I just happened to be 5'8", and when you take a few inches out on either end, it meant that I had to sleep with my knees bent. And for a variety of age-related reasons, I needed to be able to stretch out a little bit more. So that was a second fairly significant thing that we needed to change. The third thing was not so much a problem as it was us trying to get a little bit more efficient, and that was we needed to get rid of about 1,000 pounds out of the van. The van was very heavy, and it reflected that when we tried to use it in off-road conditions, which if you've followed our channel for a while, you probably suspect Corinne and I put a fair number of miles on the van off-road. And consequently, that was starting to beat up the suspension, and it was causing us to have to make repairs on a more frequent basis than we really wanted. So the suspension was going to have to be changed. It was kind of one of those stories, and I'm sure you've heard them, where in order to change the light bulb, you've got to replace a wall. And that was kind of what was happening to us in Red Rover. So instead of embarking on that very difficult task, Corinne and I decided that it was time maybe decide to change Red Rover out and really design a new van for ourselves. So Corinne and I moved inside. It was quite sunny, but also quite windy outside, and you can hear us a little better inside the van. So why did we pick off-highway vans? Well, there were a lot of reasons. We certainly shopped around for with a variety of the van companies, and there are a lot of very good van companies out there. But we had some very specific criteria that drew us to off-highway vans. One of the main criteria was that we wanted a company that would work with us, that didn't have a set design and you could pick of one of three things, and you could pick a few colors, and that was about what you could do. Corinne and I had some very specific needs, and we wanted to work with a company that, although we would drive them crazy a little bit, and of course we did, would work with us in terms of the design and the elements that went into the van. The other criteria that was really important to us is we wanted to work with a company that had a system that was aluminum. And one of the reasons we went with the aluminum system in this van as opposed to building in wood like we did with Red Rover is we really, really wanted a van that would be much, much lighter than Red Rover. And indeed, when this van was finished, weight comparison, this van came in a little over 1,000 pounds lighter than Red Rover, which was something we were trying to accomplish. So that was two major criteria for picking a company to build with. And I think finally, we wanted somebody that we not only could work with, and not only could we work through the design, but that had a really good post-build reputation. Folks that will take the van back and fix things when you go out and break them. Somebody that cared about their product long after you finished building it. And off-highway vans so far has really shown to be all of those things. So with those issues out of the way, let's talk about some of the new features that we've added to the van. One of the must-haves for the new van was a queen-size bed. Corinne and I have kind of reached that age where we don't want to be cramped into a corner, and getting a good night's sleep is really important, especially with us landscape photographers that are up at the crack of dawn and often don't get to bed until well after dark. Off-Highway Van actually designed a bed system for us because one of the things that we did not want to do was move into one of those, well, it's really a couch and you can fold it out into a bed and then you have to make it every night kind of bed. We just really didn't want that. So Off-Highway Vans designed a new bed system for us, and we literally have the prototype in this van. I suspect with some of the comments that we've made, it will be modified a little bit, but even as it is now, it's a pretty good system. So let me show you how the bed is put together. The first step is simply pull out this tray. This tray normally sits underneath the other parts of the bed. You will also know that this is all keyed so that you have good airflow under the bed so your bed doesn't get moldy. But also there's a L-bracket locking system that actually attaches to these, and you can hang various things from the bottom of the bed. Corinne and I use it actually to hang our power cords and water hoses at the back. The next step is pretty easy. They cut out a couple nice little handholds, and you pull the bed frame up, and it's still a little bit tricky. I still haven't got the technique down yet, but once it's up like this, then the last step is all you have to do next is unfold the bed, and then your bed's all done. Corinne will normally have this already made. So once I'm finished those two steps, we can literally crawl into the bed. We've just got it all unattached right at the moment so that you could see things a little easier.
And putting the bed away is just as easy. And again, this would all be made up before we put it away. As you can see, it's just pull the tray down, push it in, and you're done.
So we're going to show you a little of our galley next. This is a extended galley, a little bit larger than Off-Highway Van typically does, but this is going to become one of their other options. We have a large sink here. It's wider than our last sink was, but shallower. This is nice from the point of view of getting your dishes set in here while you're washing in the corner, and then using a smaller basin to do your wash up, and then putting it over for the person who's drying. There's also a vegetable drainer available. We've taken it out for this trip.
Corinne forgot to mention the extension on the right hand side. This lifts up, gives the galley additional length. It's quite useful for handling your dirty dishes.
We have a nice articulating faucet here with the hot and cold water, and we can pull out the nozzle and do a spray. We have a water pump button right handy to the sink, and just start up. We have a nice 2-burner induction cooktop here. We have a lot of electricity available to us, battery power. So Shawn's going to explain about that shortly. But the induction cooktop here is nice smooth surface. We can lock the burners so that people don't actually accidentally turn it on. Unlock it. Choose a function. You can do fries, steam, and warm, and you can control the temperature. One of the features that was important to us was having a good size fridge, because we go out for several months at a time. We don't like to be limited to a little weekend fridge, because we sometimes go out and don't re-provision for a week at a time. So this is similar to the fridge we had in our last van. It's a lot larger than off-highway vans used to incorporating, but they worked with us to select a way to get this in here and fix us up. So we have a fridge on one side, lots of space in there. And we have a small freezer on the other side, which I usually stock up with some pre-made meals or frozen meats. Under our sink, we have a built-in trash cabinet, which I like having in my vans because it keeps the trash out of the way, not a trip hazard, and it keeps it tidy inside. We also have a couple of drawers for various pots, pans, and utensils, and a small tip-out cabinet for sponges and cloths. Over the sink, you'll see that we have a nice set of overhead cabinets. These can be used for all our dishware. And as we move back to the bed, we have a couple cabinets for our clothing. All of them are on gas struts, so they stay up when we've opened the cabinet. So one of the things that we appreciate having in our vans is a toilet, because we don't like to get up at night and try and find the local pit toilet or nearest tree. So we've incorporated a diverting toilet in this van. Doesn't require any plumbing or exterior venting. We've got it hidden in this little cabinet. Just lift up the lid. It tucks safely up there. The toilet has a little light here to tell us if the urine tank has gotten full. It diverts urine from solids, with the urine coming to the front and the solids going to the back once you sit down on the seat. To keep things as clean and pleasant as possible in the van, we tend to empty the urine tank daily. We usually are driving through some area that has a pit toilet that we can empty the urine tank. And the solids we can bag up and dispose of about once a week. We don't tend to use it a lot because we can find other places during the day to do our other business. So our next feature in the van is this half-height shower that, when the cabinet lid is folded up, takes a nice little rod here, and we have a curtain, shower curtain that goes up there. Inside the cabinet is a shower spray and a water control. In the bottom we have a teak deck so that it keeps from getting moldy and keeps our feet dry. and that drains into the gray water tank. On the lid of our shower cabinet, we've had an L-track installed. It takes these little rings that we can insert here, and when we fold down the lid, those make an excellent spot to hang our wet gear and jackets and anything else that we want to hang out of the way.
As Corinne's demonstrating, taking the curtain rod off and disassembling it is very simple. Once she has it all disassembled, it actually stores in a little black bag.
When our bed is in the day position, we have access to 2 nice seats here on the back of the van. And this can be a work area if we want to get out a computer, and extra seating if we have guests visiting.
Let me show you the brains of our system, especially our electrical system. We have obviously upgraded and significantly boosted the battery power in the van, but as we did with Red Rover, we selected the Victron components to support the electrical system. We had such good success with those that it was almost a no-brainer for us. So this system is powered by 800 watts of lithium batteries. We have a 300 watt trickle charging solar system that's up on the front of the van. And it is pretty efficient and does a pretty good job of sort of maintaining wherever the charge is for the day. We also put a alternator stroke generator in the engine compartment that is the main on-the-road generating system for the house batteries. And we also have a plug-in component that we can plug into 30 amp power, shore power, when we're staying in a RV park. Most of the time we spend our time traveling in the backcountry, so for us being able to charge the batteries from the engine very efficiently and also from keeping them going from solar is very important. This new system is pretty straightforward. It's very easy to use. It gives you a lot of information on one page. In this particular case, we can see that we have our AC loads are depicted up here. Right now we're generating 21 watts. We're using 21 watts. This is our solar charger. It's putting into the battery 32 watts. Our DC system right now in the truck is using about 140 watts. We're at about 99% charged. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. One of the nice things that this particular brains of the operation gives us is it shows us amount of water we've got in percentage, and it shows us the amount of wastewater we're currently carrying. The water itself is a 30-gallon tank, so we've got 86% of a 30-gallon tank, and our wastewater tank's 10 gallons, and it's about 60% full. So we would normally have to empty that soon. We liked our Rixson furnace in Red Rover so much that we went with exactly the same furnace in this van. It's of course updated. It's a more modern version than our furnace. And one of the nice things that we modified in this furnace is that in Red Rover, the plumbing went from the passenger side all the way over to the driver's side where the actual furnace was located. So we had a lot of plumbing in between the passenger and driver's side. All of that has been eliminated in this van. The actual furnace sits right underneath its main fan operations and exchanger, so that it's very, very short run, which makes the furnace even more efficient. It's run by this clock or brains of the operation right here. Again, it's extraordinarily easy to use. You can turn the furnace on or off right here. You can actually, in this van, we can run the furnace with electrical, which we could in Red Rover as well, but that didn't work quite as well as it does here. We can create hot water so that whenever we want hot water, we can have that for our shower, even if we're not plugged into shore power. Actually setting the temperature is very easy. It's just once the the furnace is on, you come down here, hit this little 70-degree number, and it'll let you select what temperature you want to set the furnace for. And operating the actual flow from the fan of the furnace, unlike Red Rover, which was underneath our bed at the back, which made the back of the van very hot and the front of the van very cold, the actual fan openings or the fan hoses actually come into the middle of the van immediately below the sink. This panel is a lovely device that Off-Highway Van actually custom makes themselves. As you can see, that the basic design of our van is called the Davey Jackson, although I would describe us as a highly modified Davey Jackson. In the panel, they give you control for your water pump. This is actually labeled wrong. It actually turns on and turns off our rear lights. This is the main cabin lights. We have a series of outside lights that we can turn on from here, and then the kitchen lights are also turned on from here. It makes it a very convenient place to find the switches and modify them when you're in the van. They also provide electrical plugs, 2 electrical plugs, and 2 different types of DC plugs, one of the old cigarette lighter type, and the other one's the more modern, if I can get it open here, it's closed up so well I can't get it open, which actually what I really like is this one you can turn on and off, and you can have the standard USB, thank you, Corinne. USB-A plug goes there, and this is the USB-C plug up there. This is our new nomadic air conditioning system. It is, we've had it on a couple times. It's very, very efficient. It cools down the back of the van quite quickly. Only so far, we've only tested it in about 85 to 90 degree weather, and it's done a great job. As I say, lowering the temperature in the back of the van. It's extremely efficient. We can put it on for an hour and have it run fairly aggressively, and then turn down the amount of air conditioning and just have it run at a much lower level, or indeed as the evening goes on, we just turn it right off. It keeps the van at a very nice, cool temperature. The other nice thing about this is that it is a DC system, so we don't have to be plugged into power to use it. And it does take the batteries down relatively quickly, so we don't run it for, we wouldn't run it all day unless we were plugged into power. This would be something we'd run for an hour or 2 before we went to bed at night, and use it to just cool the place down. The other nice thing with it is that it comes with its own little handheld device, and it's fairly intuitive. It's once you kind of get the hang of it, this device is pretty easy to use for turning it on. You can actually set a series of automatic settings, which we haven't done yet, but we probably will, and use those as our main settings once we get it dialed in a little bit more.
The air conditioner is actually surprisingly quiet, even running at full blast.
So Corinne and I decided to completely redesign the front area of the van. Our previous van had a bench right here that did have seat belts, which actually made it nice for if you had a passenger. We've done away with the seat belts, we've done away with that seat, and instead we've gone with a bench that's up against the wall. There's big storage underneath this bench, and then we have a lagoon table that replaces the table that we had in the last van. As much as we liked the last van's table, it was quite heavy, and it needed to be stowed, especially if we were going to do any off-road driving. The little lagoon table suits Corinne and I pretty well, since it's 99% of the time it's only Corinne and I in the van. So we use this as our meal table. what we typically do is rotate the passenger seat. That's just Corinne's showing you now. And I typically sit in the passenger seat, and Corinne typically sits here on this side. We also have a rotating driver's seat if we want. However, we rarely, almost never use that. The only time we turn that around is if we have company and we want to find some more seating. So that pretty much always stays the way it is. And instead, we just have this single lagoon table. Now, we have another place where we can put the lagoon table, which is down at the entrance to the van. We actually have a completely separate table that can go there if we'd like. And that is primarily to be used when we're outside and we want a table to cook on, or as a kind of a settee table, buffet table, when we're outside the van. And since we spend a great deal of time outside the van, that is actually quite a useful little addition. So let's go ahead and look at the inside. The first thing you're going to notice is that we have a permanently installed bug screen and insulation screen, as I like to call it. This is mostly something that we use to keep the cold air from coming directly onto our bed during the winter time. These doors are notoriously for not being completely sealed, so consequently you get two things inside: cold air and dust. This is made by TruVan. Again, Off-Highway Vans installed it for us. It's a brilliant system. In this case, there's a series of covers for a screen up here, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. And then there's essentially these zippers that will go floor to ceiling, but they were really smart. They put in a holding system about halfway up, so you can just wrap these up and lock them in right here. And then they're nicely out of the way. We'll do the other side here. I really like this because I spend a good bit of my time getting in and out of the back of the van, because I like to store our camera gear back here, which you can see right here. It's on this little plate, and you can see we have a very, very large storage area. And what's great about it is that instead of having to crawl up inside, which is what I had to do on our last van, the whole thing comes out. The entire tray moves out. I can get everything in the back. This tray supports about 500 pounds. I think I was told 500 pounds of distributed weight. Doesn't mean I get up and jump on it, because I'm pretty certain I break it. But it has made my life a whole lot easier having this tray. If you're designing a van and you do store or carry gear, this has just turned out to be one of my absolute favorite things of the new van. And it's there's two clips, so it locks in place. There is possible to lock this halfway out. So if you don't want to take it all the way out, you can lock it halfway out. The other thing that they've done nicely is if you're going to own a van and you're going to go off-road, the van's going to break. It just is. And sooner or later, you're going to want to fix something. And they set me up with AC power and DC plugs right here at the back of the van, so that I can plug in an electric drill or an electric saw or some piece of gear that I might have with me that I need to plug in. They've added a nice light system to it, so it's not so obvious here, but we asked them to design this a little bit so that it wouldn't take our night vision away at nighttime. So we have a single light in the back. They can install more, I'm sure, if you want more. We do have an outside shower. This is kind of something they supply with all of their vans. it will probably never get used by Corinne or I. I don't know if you heard that. Corinne said from behind the camera, washing boots. Yeah, that might be where it gets used. A hose just plugs in here. I didn't bring the hose with me because I don't use it very often. A hose plugs on right there. Also, you can fill your tank right here, and they've set it up this time so that you don't even have to be that careful. If once the tank is full, it overflows to an outside vent, which comes out underneath the van. So there's no way to get water in the van itself. We do have a small access port to the back of the van, and this is the water side of the van. But, you know, realistically, other than turning on the valve that will discharge your tank, it's really not all that useful for really anything other than that. They also have given me very good access to a fuse panel. Oddly, that's actually easier to reach from inside the van. It's actually over there. You can see the little panel. And one of the things that off-highway van has done very well is these don't rattle. I was actually concerned when I first purchased the van, or was first looking at the van, that they would be rattling in the back of the van, and they're extremely quiet. So that's turned out to be really quite excellent. So let me show you. I'll close up the doors, and then I'll open up a screen so you can see how that looks. So again, just to close these up, just hit the two pieces. These come down, and those are closed. Now, to get at the screen, it's quite easy. It's actually this zipper right here. That will open up the back. I'll just crawl up to show you that. So you can actually use this to actually completely open up the back if you wish, so that it can be completely open. Or alternatively, inside the van, so you can do it from the inside, you can lower the inside screen and then zip this back in, and now you've got an open screen on the back of the van. Almost everywhere Corinne and I travel in the spring and in the early fall, there's going to be bugs involved. So it's nice to be able to open this up and let some air flow through the van without having a lot of bugs entering the van. And again, putting it away is really pretty simple. Just zips right back up on both sides. Let's try not to fall off the step. There we go. And then this just closes up right there. Now, one thing I also should mention, Red Rover did not have a sound system in it, so that if the, and quite frankly, we're not super music we don't listen to a lot of music and things of that sort, but what we do like to do is listening to books. And occasionally we like to do that in our leisure time, and often just before we go to bed. And they've added a speaker system up here and on this side, so that in the back of the van, we can listen to our books. Or if we happen to be out in the beach partying, we got the tunes. So I've been alluding to the various tankages and battery power that we have on the van, and I thought it would be useful if I just summarize those specifically. So our freshwater capacity is 30 gallons. It's stored in a tank that is on the passenger side of the van. We have a wastewater tank or gray water tank that's 10 gallons that sits on the driver's side of the and is set up to be discharged just like you do any traditional RV, except with a much smaller hose attachment. And so far, we found that to be very convenient for discharging that tank. The battery power, we have 800 watts of power, but we're now utilizing a 48 volt system because of our addition of of air conditioning to the back of the van. It also makes the use of the cooktop and any of the larger appliances that we use in the van, especially when we're going to use 110, a lot more efficient than a 12-volt system. The only thing we've noticed is we've lost a little bit of capacity, but then with having a very large generating charging system that literally puts off just under or just over 100 amps into the house batteries, really solves the sort of smaller capacity of the batteries. Well, folks, I'm sure you have lots of questions, and of course that's what the comment section is down below. Please don't hesitate to use it. We love hearing from you, and if you have any comments, questions, ideas, ways you would do things differently, we love to hear from you. And of course we always respond to them. Every one that we get, we read and respond to. Well, Corinne, what do you think?
If you've enjoyed our video, we hope you'll give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button to see more.
And as always, if you want to know when we release videos, hit that little bell button.
And until next time, bye for now.
We'll be back real soon to give you part 2, where we'll highlight some of the modifications we've made to the outside of the van. Take care, and bye for now. And here's a short preview of what's coming in the future.
On Red Rover, we ended up having to recover ourselves twice, one from deep sand and once from a mud hole up in just outside of the Tetons National Park. And basically we were able to recover Red Rover with some traction boards and a lot of digging. And this time I decided to see if I could reduce maybe some of the digging and give myself an alternative way to actually recover the van. So we've added a Warren winch. It's a VR Evo winch, and it's rated, it's the 12.5 rated for the van.